Okay, so today we're going to talk about user interface design, and we are also going to talk about the three formats of user interface design, and we will also talk about some visual design elements and um, design principles, and we'll go ahead to create a design in Figma for today's class. So, starting off, what is user interface design? Basically, when we talk about user interface design, it is the process where designers use to build interfaces in software or computerized devices, focusing on the look and the style. And when we talk about user interfaces, we're referring to those access points where users interact with the design. And these come in three formats. So we have what is called the graphical user interface, which is where users interact with the visual representation on digital control panels. For example, the computer or device that you're using to watch this class right now is a graphical user interface. And the second one is voice controlled interfaces where users interact through their voices. For example, smart assistants like Siri on iPhones, Bixby on Samsung devices, or Alexa on Amazon devices. And the third format is the gesture based interfaces, so where users engage with 3D design spaces through bodily motion, for example, in virtual reality. Now, to design best UI, there are three things we need to consider. First, we need to consider that users judge designs quickly and they care about usability and likability. And secondly, UIs should also be enjoyable. So, whatever designs that you're creating, you should try to make it satisfying and less frustration free. Also, UIs should communicate brand values and reinforce users' trust. So, as a user interface designer, as a UI designer, you will be designing visuals a lot. And when we talk about visual design aims to improve a design's aesthetic appeal and usability with suitable images, typography, space, layout, and color. And there are some very key and fundamental elements and principles of visual designs that I would like us to know before we start designing in Figma as we would do today. So for the elements, we have what's called lines, we have shapes, we have negative spaces, we have volumes. Now, lines are strokes that are connecting 2 points. Shapes are self-contained areas usually formed by lines. And when we talk about negative spaces, there are empty spaces around a positive shape. And also volume, we use this to show the richness and the fullness of, three-dimensional elements on two-dimensional screens. The fifth element is value. This basically describes light value, which is lightness and darkness, and we use this to set the relationship between lightness and darkness, typically through a light source. The sixth element is color. Color is an element of light. So depending on the light source, colors will um, look different. And so we use this to set the tune and attract attention rather. And finally, texture. So texture, we use this to define an object surface because texture just has to do with the surface of an object. Haven't talked about the elements. There are some key principles of visual design. There are a lot of principles, but I'm just going to talk about a few of them, which we would be seeing how we apply them in the designs that we'll be creating later. So some of these principles are number one, unity. So unity has to do with creating a sense of harmony between all elements in a page. And basically, we use this to establish harmony between page elements so they appear to belong together and users are not distracted by chaos, misalignment, or layouts. And the second principle is Gestalt. Now, there are so many Gestalt principles. For example, we have the principle of proximity, of closure, similarity. But what I want us to understand about Gestalt is that Gestalt refers to our tendency to perceive the sum of all parts as opposed to the individual elements. So, as human beings in our brains, Basically, we would look at the shapes as a square, a circle, and a triangle, rather than looking at them as short dashes that are not connected together. The third principle is hierarchy. Basically, we use this to place importance, to show importance. So you're going to read the big text first before you read the tiny text next. And the fourth principle is balance. So balance, we use this to distribute elements evenly. And balance is the principle that governs how we distribute elements in a design. The fifth one is contrast. Basically, we use contrast to make an element to stand out by manipulating the difference, maybe in color, in value, in size, and other factors. For example, if you look at the screen, you'd see how we set the contrast for the delete button and the keep button. It's basically different. And the sixth principle is scale. So scale describes the relative sizes of the elements in a design. And we use this to emphasize elements to establish importance or depth. And finally, dominance. So dominance creates focus on a single element, and we use an object size or the color to make it stand out. Basically, I have been talking. I'm gonna go to the chat and see what is happening in the chat right now. If there are any questions, please put them in the chat. If you have anything that you do not understand while I'm talking, basically you can just put those in the chat and I will attend to them. So finally, the tools that we use for UI design. There are several tools in the market today. There are so many tools that can be used for UI design, but some of the basic tools or some of the popular tools that are used today are Figma, which is the first logo. The second one is Adobe XD. The third one is Sketch and Figma. Any of these tools can be used for UI design. But today, we're going to use Figma. And so if you do not have Figma in your computer, basically you can go to your browser and you can search for Figma and just basically click on download Figma. So in here, if you do not have an account, make sure to sign up and you can download Figma, whether you use a Mac OS or a Windows PC, and make sure to download Figma. Now, when you do that and you open Figma for the very first time, you're going to see a screen like this. You're going to see a screen like this. So before I start on to talk about Figma, let me just take some of the questions in the chat box. So this is from Gabriel saying, "Hi Ma, can we please get the notes for today's class and possibly a recording? You're moving too fast for me to take notes, laugh out loud." Okay, so basically the notes will be available for you. It will be in the Telegram group. You're gonna get the notes. And this class is actually recorded. I'm going to slow down from now. Thank you for letting me know. And also in the Discord, in the Discord server, and Discord channel, I'm gonna make the notes available for everyone to get the notes for today. So yes, it would be available. Okay, I'm gonna slow down here. Basically, I think I'm talking too fast, and a lot of people are not following. So like I was saying before, you need to get Figma in your in your in your device. For those who are here and you already have the link to Discord, you can put it in the chat to help Bria to get connected and also join. And also you can put the link for the Telegram group as well in the chat box. So that's a lot of multitasking for me right now. But I will also try to do that as well as time goes on. So I'll just continue with what we're talking about. So when you open Figma for the very first time, you're going to see something like this. And this is basically my Figma is old, and that's why there's no welcome to Figma for the first time. So what you want to do is to click on New Design. When you do click on new design, this is your Figma editor. Okay, before I go on, there's so much about the group. I'm just going to take a second to put the link for the Telegram group in the chat so everyone can have access to it. Basically, a lot of people are asking about it. And yeah, okay. So the link for the Discord is in the group. Make sure to join it. Now, when you do open Figma for the first time, this is your editor and this is what it looks like. This is where all the magic happens. And I'm going to go over some of the tools. Hi, Wale from Nigeria. Nice to have you here. I'm going to go over some of the tools that we're going to be using. So on the top left side, we have the move tool and the scale tool. We have the frame and the slice tool. We also have the shape tool, which contains a lot of shapes like rectangle, line that we talked about, arrow, and so many others. We have the pen tool and pencil. We have the text tool, the hand tool for movements, and the comment tool. Now, on the right side here, you can see this is my account and you have the share button. So basically, when you finish designing, you can click on share and share your work and you can use the present. So the first thing we're going to do is to create a frame and we're going to click on the frame tool. There are so many types of frames that we can choose from, but we're going to pick the Instagram post um, frame. Now, this is the frame which we have here, and the size is 1080 by 1080. Now that we have it, we are going to change the name of our frame first. So this is day one. So we're going to change it to day one. Now on your screen, you would see that the name of your file is untitled. So you want to make sure that you change that to class one. And to customize the frame to the size that we want, we're going to change the height here. You can see the width is 1080 by 1080, but we're going to change the height to 758. 758. Now, the first thing, now that we have a frame, as you can see, we have a layer here. So each time we have a frame or a design, it's going to add to the layers panel. And in here, the first thing we want to do is set a grid. Here we have a layout grid. So you click on a plus and you click on the grid. Change the grid to a column grid. Change the count to 4. Change the margin to 80. And then change the gutter to 10. Now, the essence of putting on the grid is to help us with alignment. So when we start creating or imputing any elements, it's going to help us to really guide our eyes with the alignment for the design. Take note, what we're going to design today is the introductory class flyer, and we're going to make every element that you see here, including the logo, the text, and all the colors that we have. So back to our design. Now that we have this, I'm going to turn off the grid and we're going to use color. Now, remember we talked about color, and this is where we can't change color in the fill panel. So we want to click on the fill. Now, with the fill, we can change the color to any kind of color, any color at all, whether green, black. But what we want to do today is, what we want to do here is not to use solid color, but to use a linear color. And you just change this from here, from solid to linear. And make sure you set your angles this way. And we're going to create 2 more points in between. So now we have 4 points. And the first point here, which is this first one, we're going to leave it as white. But the second one, we're going to change the hex value. So here we have the hex value in this panel, and then we're going to impute the color codes manually. We're going to use FFEAE8. Now this is a 0%, so I want to make it to 100. And then the second one, we're going to use the color E8, F8, FF. Also, we're going to move that to 100%. And then the third one, we're going to use the color D6, FF, EF. And also we're going to move that to 100%. Now we have the background that we want to use. Remember, this is what we want to recreate. And so we have the background color. What I'm going to do now is to duplicate this. Now, if you use a Windows PC, you can click on Alt and just drag this out. If you use a MacBook, you can click on Option and drag it out, or you can click on the frame and just press Control D on a Windows PC or Command D on a Mac. Now we're gonna, since we have this over here, I'm just gonna reserve this for later because we're gonna use it later on. But then we're gonna go back to this and we are going to turn on our grids now. That's going to help us with how we put our text. So how I zoom in and zoom out, if you use a Windows PC, you can click on Control and just use your mouse to zoom in and zoom out, which is very easy. We're going to click on the text and write introduction. Now, as you can see, my text is running down, and this is not what I want. So basically, you want to, if you have the same problem as me, you want to do Control A, everything, and then change the okay, I am too fast. I am lost. Adenuga, where are you? Okay, let's go back to the colors. Okay. Everybody, I'm gonna go back. So I'm gonna take this out and I'm gonna turn off the grid. I'm gonna turn off our grid and I'm gonna go back to the colors and we're gonna start from here. So now we have the colors. The first color here is the first color is white, which is all F. We're going to leave it that way. The second color is kind of like a pale pink kind of color, and the code is FFEAE8 and FFEAE8. And the third one is kind of like blue. So the color code is E8F8FF. I'm just going to give you a second to copy the code. And then the fourth one, the final one, which is green, is D6FFEF. Okay, Yamroot, if you've got the colors, just let me know in the comments. Medline, you are lost. Where are you lost? So I can find you. Medline, where are you lost so I can find you? Okay, so if you're done with the colors, just let me know in the comment, like done. Just put done if you're done with it. So the blue color, I'm gonna go to the blue color. The blue color is E8F8FF. That is the blue color. E8F8FF. Just look down here at the hex value, you can see it. So if you're done with the color, please let me know if you're done with it. The pink color is EFFEA E8. And the green color is D6FFEF. The third color is blue. And the third color is E8F8FF. I'm gonna slow down for those people who are designing with me right now. So if you're done, okay, a lot of people are done. I hope you got the the layout grid. So we're going to proceed. Now I'm going to click on the text tool, and in here I'm going to set the size of the text to 70. The typeface I'm using is Inter, and I'm going to change it from regular, the font, to bold. And I'm going to type introduction to UI design. So now that we have that, I'm just going to set it here so that we can all see. If you're done with that, just type done for me in the comments and let me know if you're done. And then now this text that I have here, rather than clicking on the text and typing again and again, I can just duplicate this by clicking on Alt and then drag it out. You can do that too. And we're going to type tool, and we're going to say Figma. Now what we're going to do is change the size of this. So remember we talked about hierarchy, and we talked about, using hierarchy to place importance. So both texts cannot be of the same font weight. So we're going to change the font weight of this to 45. And we're going to change from bold to semi-bold. So the users are going to read Introduction to UI first before you read Tools, Figma. Now the spacing in between this, you want to click both. The spacing in between this, we want to set it to 20. Rather than group our text, I'm going to set an auto layout. So make sure you hold both text and click on auto layout. Now, when you do that, you find that automatically it aligns to the left, and that's not what we want. We want to align it to the center. So we're going to change it to the center here as an auto layout. Now, remember, as you design, it is very good behavior to name your frames, name your layers, name everything that you're doing. So we're going to change the name here to title text, so that when we come back to our designs, it's very neat and very understandable. Hi, Mohammed from Sierra Leone. Nice to have you here. Now that we have that in place, the next thing we're going to do is to create this session right here. And to do that, the first thing we're going to do is create a rectangle. So if you're done with the text, just type done in the comments. If you're done with the text, if you already put your auto layout, you've changed your setting, just type done. Just type done. Okay, that is done. That is done. Okay, good. So what I'm going to do first is just turn off my grid here because I want to see what I'm doing very clearly. Some of the time the grid is just a little bit. Now with the grid, most times I assist myself with, you want to assist yourself with the rulers, and you can do that by just dragging out the rulers from the side and from the top. But I don't need the one at the top, so I'm not going to use it. Control Z, I'm not going to use it in this design. So how to set the ruler, if you don't have your ruler set, you can go to file here, the main menu, and then click on review, and then just tick rulers. Just tick ruler. Okay, if you've already done that, please let me know. Okay, with our rectangle, what we're going to do to it is we're going to set the width to 416, and we're going to set the height to 118. So if you've done that, just let me know. Just type done in the comments. So the grids, if you want to set the grid, now I'm going to do the grid again. Just watch. I'm going to do the grid again. Now click on the plus, click on your grid, change it to columns, and then set the count to 4, set the stretch to 80, and then set the gutter to 10. That's how I did the grid. Okay, now if you're done with that, you can click both the rectangle and your text, and then you can align it to the left right here. You can click on align to the left right here. Now, if you're done with that, we're going to create another shape. Click on the shape tool, and then click on polygon right here, and then hold shift. Make sure you're holding shift, and then you draw a triangle. Now we're going to change the number of sides of the triangle to 4. So that gives us a diamond shape, and we don't want it as sharp as this. So we're going to round the corners, and we're going to add 5% of corner radius. Probably let's do 10, much more better. So if you've done this, please let me know in the comments. Just type done. Now I'm going to turn off the grid so we can see what we're doing clearly, and just put this here. So now we're going to connect these two shapes together. Make sure to connect these two shapes together. Put the diamond and the square, the rectangle together right here. Now on the rectangle, add 30% of corner radius. Add 30% of corner radius, so make it round. And then to the triangle, we're going to change the size of the triangle because it's kind of like too big. So we're going to do 45 width, and then the height is also going to be 45. And then we will change the corner radius to 5. So if you have this, just let me know. If you're lost on the triangle, everybody's lost on the triangle, so we're going to do it again. Now, click on the shape tool right here. On your own tool, it's going to be probably square. So click on the shape tool, click on polygon, hold shift, and then draw a triangle. Now, when you do that, change the sides here from 3 to 4. So then you have a diamond, and then change the corner radius from 0 to 5. If you've done that, can you put the done sign? Can I see that? Like if you've done it, let me know in the comments if you've done it. Okay. Now, if you've done that, change the size of the triangle, not the triangle, rather, the diamond to 45 by 45. Right here, the width and the height. And then put it in your rectangle. Make sure your rectangle size is 30% radius. Make sure it's 30%. Now, if you have those two in place, click on both of them. And at the top here, click on this and then select union. Select union. Now, if you've done this, please let me know in the comments. Okay, done. Good. We're moving. Okay, if you've done that, we're going to change the color of this from ash. We're going to use the color FA. And the next thing we're going to do is to add effect to this shape. So you want to scroll down over here and click on effects. And the first effect we're going to add is a drop shadow. Now on the drop shadow, we're going to set the blur to 40. And we're going to set the Y direction to 20. And then we're going to set the opacity of the shadow to 10%. Now, if you've done that, just put done in the comments, done in the comments. We're not going to leave our color as black, so we're going to change it to something light gray. You can just use a random figure. It doesn't have to be the exact one I'm using. Just look at it in your computer and, change it from black to, okay, you can use 3D, 3C, 3C as the shadow color. So now that you have that in place, we're going to add another effect, and we're going to add plus, still a drop shadow, but this time we're going to have it as the blur to be 3, the Y direction as 1, and then we're going to have absolute black, but 10% opacity. Now that we have that in place, if you've done it, just put done in the comments. If you've done it, just put done in the comments. We're going to add another effect again, and this time around it's going to be a background blur. So we're going to set the background blur to 40%. Now you might be asking, why are we doing this? Like, I cannot see the effect very clearly. Well, now that we're done, you can see that it's together, and you may not really see it clearly. But if you take it out and put it here on the other side, let me change this the color of my editor to maybe a black one. So now you can see it clearly, and it's much more better for you. Okay, done. Now I'm gonna go over the effect again. So how you make a union, you click on both shapes, click on the click on both shapes. Haruna, can you let me know where you're lost so I can find you? Click on both shapes, click on this icon at the top, and then you have union selection. So that's how you make the union. And the second effect is a drop shadow. The blur is 3. The Y direction is 1. And the opacity is 10%. Okay, you can delete it and create the union again. You can delete it and create the union again if you made a mistake. You can do that. So we're going to proceed. And the next thing we're going to do is to add text. So now the text we're going to add is the live class on 23rd April 2022. So just going to click on the text. And I'm just going to write it here. First, the text, I'm going to change the value to 24. And we're going to use a medium text. And now we're going to add live class on 23rd April 2022. Now, if you already have that, we can put it in here. Okay, the value of the second effect is a drop shadow, and the blur is 3. The Y direction is 1, and the opacity is 10%, Salim. So if you've done that, the next thing we're going to do is to put the logo for Lighthole and also the text for Lighthole. So what you want to do is you can go on Google and type lighthall.co and get the logo, or we can create any logo at all. I already have it installed in my system. My apologies for not putting it on the on Lighthall for you to download it earlier on. But what you want to do here is, if you have any logo in your system, this is the way you can get an image or anything that's saved in your system and put it into Figma. So there are several ways to do it. Most of the time, what I do is just drag the file and then paste it in Figma. It's that easy, but there's another way to do it. You can go the long way, which is like file and then place image, and then you select the image from there and put it in your computer. So now that we have the logo, we're going to scale it. Remember, we talked about scale. And to do that, we can change the tool here from move to scale, or you can use the shortcuts. Most of the time, I just like to press K, which is a shortcut, and then we scale it. The size that we want for the icon is to be 24 by 24. And the next thing we're going to do is to add the lighthall here. So you're going to add lighthall.co. And remember, we talked about hierarchy. So these two texts cannot be the same value. So we're going to change this to much lighter value. And we're going to change it to 16. And we will change this to a regular text so it's lighter. Now, what you want to do here is click on both items and then put an auto layout on it. Now, usually it's going to align to the top right there. Just put it in the center and make sure the spacing is 10. Now, if you've done this, please let me know. If you've done this, please let me know. I'm going to go to the chats. The shortcut for scaling is just press K on your keyboard, Busola. If you want to scale, just press K and it's going to scale. Okay, usually you can import a photo, an image, or any image at all that you have. So how to import without dragging and dropping? You can click on the main menu here and then click on File. In File, you say Place Image, and it just opens up your computer, and then you navigate to where you save the item in your computer, and then you click Open, and that's it. That's how you do it. Yes, I can zoom out. So now we're going to create this. We're going to add an image. You can add your own image. It doesn't have to be my image. And you can put your own name and also your own designation, whether you're a UX or UI designer. So how are we going to get my image? Now, this is how we're going to do it. First, I'm going to create a circle with the shape tool. And the circle, the size, I'm going to set it to 24 by 24 right here. And in the fill right here, I'm going to change it to image and then choose image and click on my image and put it right there. If you've done this, if you have any image in your computer, you can use your own photo. It doesn't have to be this particular one. But if you want to use my image too, it's okay. You can use my image. So if you've done if you've put the image inside, please let me know. So I'm going to repeat this one again. Create a circle, make the size to 24 by 24, and then click on the fill, change from solid to image, and then choose the image in your computer, and that's it. So now that we have that, I am going to write my name, which is Nabel, and I'll make that to be medium. You can write your own name. I'm going to use someone's name in the chat. So I'm going to use Benny's name because I see Benny. Benny, this is Benny. And I'm going to duplicate this text. And I'm going to write UI. Benny, are you a UI or UX designer? Just let me know in the chat. UI or UX? UI. Okay, I'm going to say UI designer. And as we talked about hierarchy before, so we're going to change this text to regular. Thanks, Benny. I love you too. Now that we have the text in place, we're also going to add an auto layout to it. And to this image, I'm going to create another circle. Just follow me. I'm going to create another circle right here on top of it and basically bring this to the front. Now, how I do that is click on this image, click bring to the front. So it comes to the front right here. And then we're going to resize this to 32 by 32. Click on both items and then align it to the center. If you got this, let me know. If you didn't get it, please let me know in the comments. How did I duplicate? What am I duplicating? You can use Command D to duplicate on a Mac, or you can use Control D to duplicate on a Windows PC. Okay, how I duplicated Benny. So you click on the name Benny and then hold Alt on your computer. It could be Alt on Windows or Option key on a Mac, and then you drag it out. Creating the second circle is not better than stroke. I do not want to use a stroke because I could fill it up with other things or another image or another effect that I want to create. So yes, it's not better than a stroke. I could basically do this, use a stroke. Say, for example, I add a stroke and say make it very thick to say 20, and it's big. I could put it outside like this. Let's say 10. This is too big. Oh, 5. Like this, I could basically do that as well. So this is different. What I want to create is different. Isaac. So are we done with this? If you're done, just put done, 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 done. Okay, yes, Isaac, we can use a stroke to do it. We can use another image to do it. We can use another circle to do it. It's just different ways to kill a bird. Is that okay? Okay, so everyone is done. Okay, so everyone is done. The next thing we're going to do is to change the color. So basically you can use a stroke for this. You can change the color. The color that we want to use is a very light gray. This stroke is too big. Okay, if you have this in place, what you want to do is click on both items and then you align it to the center. Make sure the spacing is 15 and then also add another auto layout and then make sure you put it in the center. If you have this done, please let me know. Now what we're going to do next is to align these two items. Make sure you hold them both. And align it to the center. Add another auto layout and make sure you put it in the center. So now we have this. Remember, this is our text, so we can change the text here to say date. And then we can change this to say, let's say Benny. Now that we have it in place and we have the union, what we want to do is change this into a frame. The union, we're going to change it into a frame. So you want to right click and say frame selection. And this frame, we're going to call it as info because this is where all the info is. And now we're going to copy this basically and just put it inside the frame. Make sure it's inside of the frame. So inside of your info. If you've done that, please let me know and make sure to align both of them to the left. Okay, so if you've done this, please let me know if you have this in place already, because this is what we have. And the next thing we're going to do is to create the logo for Figma. We're going to create the logo from scratch. We're going to create everything. So if you've done this, please let me know so we can proceed to the next thing. Just put done in the comments. Okay, so how I got the background, we added a fill, and then we added 4 colors. We added whites, we added a pink color, we added a blue color, and then we added a green color. Okay, if you have everything in place, please let me know in the comments and just put done, done, done if you've aligned everything to the side. Okay, done, 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 done. All right, now remember the second frame that we brought out. So we're gonna change this to Fig container. We're gonna change it to Fig con, and we're gonna change the size as well. So how you convert it to a frame, click on your union, right click, and then select frame selection. Now your Figma container that we have here, we're going to reduce the size. Click on K, remember how we scaled, and then scale it down. Now remember uh, our layout grid, we're going to bring that back. And we're going to put this in here to see how much we should reduce the size. So make sure to change the size to 360 by 253. If you have that, please let me know in the comments and say done. And now we're going to add 30% of corner radius to it. And the next thing we're going to do is to add effect to it. So we're going to add an inner shadow, change your effect to inner shadow. And to the inner shadow, we'll change the X direction. We're going to set it to 29. The blur, we're going to set it to 55. And the Y direction, we're going to set it to 38. And now the color we're going to use is FFE0DC. And the opacity is going to be 100%. So let me know in the comments if you've already done this. If you've done this, I'm just going to keep this for you to see the values. If you've done this, please let me know in the comments if you've done it. Okay, what does the X and Y direction mean? Now, let me show you. When we talk about the X direction, it's the direction of the shadow that we want to set it. And remember your math. So this is Y from this point to this point is Y. So if we want the shadow to reflect on this axis, this is the Y direction. And if we want the shadow to reflect on the X axis, which is this way, like this, so it's going to be, this is the X axis. So basically, let's say we have a shape like this, and let's say we change this color to white. And if you look at the shape, it doesn't have any shadow. And say we want to add a shadow onto the y-axis, we can add effect, and automatically we have the y direction of the shadow set to 4. If we increase this to 20, you can see the shadow coming down. So that's the y direction. And let's say we set this to 0 and we set the X direction to 20. Now you can see the direction of the shadow. So it's basically the direction of the shadow, how we set the direction of the shadow. That's what it means with the X and the Y direction. So is that clear for who asked that? Yeah, is that clear? Munirat, do you get it? What we mean by the X direction and the Y direction for the shadows. Okay, great. So if you haven't done this, I'm going to show you the values again. Just go here. It's an inner shadow. The X direction is 29. The Y direction is 38. The blur is 55. And this is the color. So just take it. Take it down. If you've done it, just write done, done, done in the comments. Okay, great. So I'm just going to reduce the size of this a little bit. And if you want to use the exact values that I'm using, it's 312 by 252. Now, we're going to create all the Figma logo. So the first thing you want to do is grab your ellipse tool and create a circle. Now, your circle should be 87 by 87. Remember how we got the inner shadow was used for the effect. The inner shadow was used for the effect. So your circle should be 87 by 87, and then we're gonna get the rectangle and draw another rectangle, and this is gonna be 44 by 42. Okay, let's make it 47. I think 87 is better. Okay, why didn't we take the Figma logo from Google like we did? We want to create our own logo with the kind of effect that we want to use, Princess. And that's why we're not copying the logo from online. We want to create the logo, and we also want to learn some of the things about texture that we discussed, and some of the things about adding values, like we talked about light and dark in the beginning. So that's why we're not copying the logo. That's why we're recreating it, and we're learning how to do it, like how it's made. So that's why we're not copying it. So the circle is 87 by 87. The rectangle is 44 by 87. And what we want to do is place it together. Now make sure you hold both shapes and then align it to the right. Align it to the right. Remember what we did before, the union. So we want to put this together and just click union. Now we have that. And we're going to duplicate this. Remember how we did that? So click on Alt on a Windows PC or Option on a Mac. And then we're going to flip this horizontally. So we're going to flip it this way. And then to differentiate the colors, so the first one, we're going to set the color to F2, 4E, 1E. And the second one, we're going to set the color to FF, 7262. Now we're going to duplicate this again. Make sure to put these two together. The spacing should be 0. If I'm too fast, please let me know in the comments. If you're lost, please let me know in the comments. And this third one, the color we're going to use is A259FF. The next thing we're going to do is to create a circle. So if you look at your Figma logo, it's beginning to come together. Make sure you hold on Shift and create a circle. And your circle should be 86 by 86. Union is different from grouping. So union is putting two elements together, like combining them, and grouping is in union we create like a different shape, but grouping of elements is just basically grouping different things together. So it's different, Gabriel. Abdul, if you're lost, please let me know where you're lost so I can find you and help you get back on track. So this circle, we're gonna change the color to 1ABCFE, and that's a blue. Now to create the last shape, we're gonna make a circle this time again. Remember, the circle should be 87 by 87, width and height. And we're gonna create a rectangle. I'm gonna come again with the colors, just hold on. This time we're gonna create a square, and it will be 42 by 42. So we're gonna put it together here. Make sure to put it together. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit for you. And make sure it's aligned, like on the sides, top and bottom. Now that we have it aligned top and bottom, click on both shapes and then set a union again. And this color is going to be 0ACF83. Okay, so we're gonna start. I'm gonna go over the colors again. The first color is, let me write it out for you. So this is the first color. The first color is this. And the second color is this. The purple color, can you see the colors? I'm going to take it again. Don't worry, I'm going to take it again. The fourth color is this, and then the green color. So I'm going to write the name. Basically, we're going to give it a name. See, this is the red, and this is the pink one, and this is the purple one, and this is the blue one, and this is the green color. So if you got the colors, please let me know. This is the color. Okay, how did we get to know the color that we're using for the Figma? Figma is, the logo is already, I think if you're using the software rather, you already see the logo is already out there, and the colors, you can just use the color picker to actually get the logo from online and know the actual colors that they're using. So yes, that's how we got the colors, and these are Figma colors. Okay, when can we use the inner shadow, drop shadow? It's with effect, it's basically, it depends on what you want to create and how you want to create it. So a drop shadow, it's like the shadow behind, like at the back of the whatever element you have. And so if you want to create an effect where you're elevating the element, you want to put a drop shadow. If you want to create an element where you want to highlight something inside of the element, then you want to use an inner shadow. So it depends on what you want to create. So I'm going to do the green again. Remember, we have a circle first, and the circle is 87 by 87. And 87. And then we drew a square, 42 by 42. And then you put it together. Make sure to align it on the top and bottom sides appropriately. And then when you have it this way, you can make the union. If you get that, can you let me know, Abdul, if you got it? If you've done all of this, if you've got your Figma logo, please let me know in the comments. Just put a done, 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 and let me know if you've done it. Okay, done. So now that we have our Figma logo, as you can see, it's very 2D and very plain. And what we want to create is this effect and all of this. So we're going to create all of this effect to make it look much more better. And we're going to go back to this. Now, remember I'm just going to place this by the side. Now we're going to duplicate this. And we will change the size to 75 by 75, basically making it smaller. I'm just going to change the color to white. So I'm putting it in here. I'm going to align it for you so you guys can see clearly right here. Now, if you already have this, what you want to do is to change the fill, change it to white, and make sure you change the state from solid to linear. And then you set the direction of your color. We're also going to add a layer blur effect. And that layer blur effect, we're going to set it to 2. Let's put it at 1. Now, if you've done this, let me know in the comments if you've done it. Just let me know in the comments if you've done this, because we would add another effect on top of this. Okay, done. Now, this first one we have here, make sure to name it, change it to V1. Okay, Eukarya, which part of the effects, which of the effects you want me to repeat, just let me know. So with V1, just duplicate V1 and make sure to rename this to V2 so you can keep track of which is which. The first one, which of the first one? The first one of what? Okay, I'm going to take out V2. Now remember the shape that we had. So what we did was to duplicate the shape. I'm going to recreate V2 again. So basically we duplicated the shape that we have, and then we changed the size to 75 by 75. And I changed the color to white just so that you can see clearly. And then I put it back here. And so what I did with this was to change the fill from solid to linear. And then I set the direction of the color this way. So Yukara, did you get that? Let me know in the comments if you did. Okay, good. So when you do that, make sure to name this first one as V1 so we can keep track of it. And we're going to rename, like I said before, let's try to rename everything so we know what is what. So this union here is the red one, and we're going to change it to red. This one is the pink one, so we don't have union, union, union everywhere and get confused. This is the purple one. This is the blue one. And now this is the green one. So with V1 right here, if we already got the colors, I can take this out here and just put it right here because I don't want to have it. Okay. So with V1, what you want to do is duplicate it again and then make sure to name this as V2. And for this one, We're going to set the fill to, it's still linear, but this time we will change the direction of the color this way. So basically it's just to change the texture and to create that look of a 3D fill. So we're going to duplicate this again, and we're going to have V3. So now V3, the difference here is we're going to change this to a stroke, remove the fill, change it to a stroke, and the stroke, make it a 7, change the color to white, and then change it from linear to, from solid to linear. And right here, we're going to change this, put this in here. Just going to set this a little bit, and then we'll add an effect to it. And the effect would be a layer blower. So now when we zoom out, this is what we have. Now, if you already have that, make sure to hold all of V1 to V3 and then group it together, because we will use it for other ones. So like before, I showed you how to make a frame. So we're going to change all of this into a frame. Just change the red into a frame and make sure it's, you rename it so you know that's, okay, that's it. Put this in the frame. Do the same thing to the pink as well. Flip it horizontally. Make sure you align it. Do the same thing to the purple. Now we can recreate for this one, or we can utilize what we already have. Do the same thing for the blue. And then flip it horizontally. And for the blue, you can make sure to click on clip content. And for the green, we can do the same thing as well. We're just going to change the direction of this one this way. So now that we have all of this in place, we can group it together and create it as a frame. And we move it in here. Now we're going to change the size of this to 375 by 375. Basically that is too big, so make it this way. Reduce the size, and then we can put it in here. Make sure to change the container size to 100. The rounded corners, I think 100 is too much, so we could use 90%. So if you've done this, please let me know in the comments. Please let me know in the comments if you've been able to achieve this. Let me know in the comments. Okay, what does clip content mean? Princess, we are not clipping any content yet. Okay, please, what's the unique function of the frame? Now, the function of the frame is to put everything together. Like, it's like the frame is like a house. It's housing every other element of your design. I change them to frames so that each time I want to re-edit them or change anything, I could just go to that particular frame and re-edit it. And I also change them to frames so that I could put the effect that we created, the V1, V2, V3 inside of each of those frames. Chica. Oh, why did I clip content for this? So basically, let me show you what it means to clip content. Say, for example, we have this right here, and this is a frame. Uh, so if we unclip content and then we put this. Now remember, this is inside this frame. Yeah, it's inside this frame. But because we do not clip content, we can see all of the image over. And if we click on the frame and clip content, we can only see the parts that is in the frame and not the ones that are outside. So that's what it means to clip content, like clip it inside of the frame. So it doesn't show outside um, of the frame. So this is it. If you got that, please let me know in the comments. If you've got questions, please put them in the comments. And this is what we have created. Actually, we just recreated um the class flyer. So if you've done this, make sure to let me know in the comments. How did you change how did the colors change automatically while putting them into the shades? These are the colors that we used. So basically these are the colors that we used right here. And for the effect, we used white all through, so that's it. Salute, that is the logo of Figma. That's not my logo. We just recreated it. Um, okay, you were wondering what clip content was, and you got it. Good, good, good. Okay, so this is the original one that was created for this class, and this is the one that we have recreated in this class. I'm gonna just change this because it looks a little bit weird. So 375 by 375. I'm gonna use the actual values that I used for the original one, and then just change this to 110. Just moving this a little bit inside and make our logo a little bit much bigger, and then align it basically. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing so that I can really look at the questions and really answer the